We're going to go to my favorite part of the Goldilocks segment, players ranked just right. In a world where Patrick Mahomes does not exist, Myles Garrett would be the number one player in the National Football League. Now, I know that there are guys with, there have been guys in years past with more sacks and, maybe more tackles. But nobody does it run and pass like Myles Garrett. Nobody elevates the heart rate of an offensive line like Myles Garrett. Okay. And when Aaron Donald was in the league, this was an Aaron Donald type discussion. The guy will ruin you. He'll give you nightmares. If you play Myles Garrett in 2 weeks, you're not going to prep for the guy that you're playing on Sunday. You're only watching Myles. And even then, it's like watching film of a car. You're trying to stop a truck in the highway with your body. It's like, no matter how many times you watch the film, it just ain't going to work out.
Right.
Myles Garrett is so much better than the next guy. I don't think the people at home understand his strength, his leverage, his knowledge, his physical preparation, his dependability, all that while playing in Cleveland. Okay. It's unbelievable. It's like the way that people used to talk about Joe Thomas, like a thankless tenure. Well, that's Myles Garrett.
Yeah, but like Joe Thomas, he'll end up in the Hall of Fame, so he has that to look forward to. But I understand the frustration in the moment, not wanting to play for a team that struggles to win football games. But he got his new deal. And look, the pushback will be, well, Myles is 2, Josh Allen is 4. Who would you rather have? But I think you have to look at it differently. Like, yeah, they play different positions. But the level of disruption that Myles Garrett brings to that defense is unmatched anywhere around the league. And to your point, not only is it the on-field stuff, you don't have to worry about anything off-field. He's going to come in shape. He's going to be a leader. All those other things as well. You can include those if you want to. But, again, a Steelers fan, I love TJ Watt, but Myles Garrett is a different human being. I don't know if you would rather block TJ Watt than Myles Garrett over 4 quarters. I don't even know if, I would imagine you'd rather block neither. But, I mean, if you have to pick a poison, Myles Garrett is not the one you're going to take.
For sure. So who you got?
Fred Warner. He's 19. Yeah. And, linebackers feel like they've been devalued in much the way running backs have. But Fred Warner, I don't want to say he's defined the position, but as we've sort of transitioned from the Ray Lewis off-ball linebackers to the more of the athletic Fred Warner types, Fred Warner seems to be leading the charge in terms of the things he can do, both coming downhill and then in space. I was randomly watching Fred Warner highlights a couple weeks ago, just watching his interceptions. And number one, he is so smart. So smart. He plays linebacker like a quarterback. And I know that's
like Kuechly. He's got some Kuechly to his game.
Yes. And then his ability to, he plays like he's a defensive back. He can flip his hips. He can change directions. He can go back. He can go forward. And then his hands are out of this world. And not to mention his ability to come downhill, sideline to sideline, and cut off runs and take good angles. 19 feels about right for Fred, I think he was drafted. What year was he drafted? He's got to be close to 30 now, 29, 30 maybe, and he's still playing at a high level.
So there's certain guys that I consider to be X-Men, like when we're looking at is it Wednesday? Yeah, it might be Wednesday where the head of the scouting department comes in and he puts the PowerPoint up with all the players you're going to be playing against, and we color code it. The red guys are elite. Blue guys are pretty good, and then the guys who don't have colors, you should get them blocked. Fred Warner gets a star, okay? And there's a number of these guys in the league. There's a handful of these guys in the league, but Fred Warner truly earns the star. Do it all, erases angles. You think you got an angle, Fred Warner erases it because of his athletic ability. There's a guy in Baltimore who's not quite as fast as him that does it at a high level too, Roquan Smith. I'm not going to talk about him next, but I'm going to talk about another linebacker, a guy that we all got introduced to this past season, Zach Bond. He's at number 40. If he has another year like he did in 24, he'll become a Fred Warner type household name, though, because his production in year one of being at the position that he's currently in was worthy of Defensive Player of the Year. If you were to remove the names off the jerseys and the numbers and just look at the film, Zach Bond had a Defensive Player of the Year type season. I think next year Pete Prisco will have him. I'm going to call it. He'll be in the top 28.
Whoa.
Zach Bond. He's going to have another great year. I just thought he was an integral part of that defense. And, 40 is about where he should be.
By the way, we can talk about Jalen Hurts and the fruits of his labor and all that defense is insane too in Philadelphia. Like they just keep getting better, and they drafted Jahad Campbell, who's going to be next to Zach Bond and just wreaking havoc as Nakobe Dean gets healthy. It just goes on, and it almost feels unfair. All right, next up at number 54, 1 year wonder. He's only a 1 year wonder because he only played 1 year. Jared Verse, and Jared Verse, I will say it, Kyle. He was the number one edge rusher on my big board a couple of years ago. Leatu Latu went first, and then Dallas Turner went to the Vikings, and then Jared Verse ended up going to the bottom of the first round. He is just so incredibly strong, and he plays the edge position almost like he's a defensive tackle in terms of his brute strength, but then he has the ability to win around the edge. And he was a consistent game wrecker as someone in year one, and you can certainly speak to that rookie wall, which certainly feels real on the outside looking in, just because you haven't played as much football coming out of college. You spent the whole spring preparing to run 40 times, which I think is stupid, but whatever. He looked like he was not tired at all. And his teammate Braden Fisk, who he played with the Florida State second-round pick, also had a fantastic season on the interior. He didn't make this list, but Jared versus 54 feels about right, even though I just said that I'm a little worried about Jaden Daniels' expectations going forward. I think Jared Verse is who he is, and he's only going to get better.
I love what you said about him. That's the thing that stands out to me. His X-Men power is his strength, his explosion, and he does play the edge position, like you so eloquently put, like a defensive tackle. I played with a guy like this in Chicago. He was a game wrecker. He made all the headlines. His name was Khalil Mack. He had the ability to bend. He had the ability to press the pocket, and he could get around the edge as well. So Jared Verse was absolute home run by you in the scouting department there, and then for the Rams to get him.